He's going to break it down. And up to the second updates on the condition and the status of Victor Wembanyama following last night's hard fall. Could Portland actually win this series? NBA Today starts right now. We do begin our show with our top story in the NBA today. Victor Wembanyama, he sustained a concussion during the second quarter of last night's Game 2. You can see here he took a hard fall, and this was after he played just 12 minutes. He was placed in concussion protocol and ruled out for the remainder of the game. So I want to bring in our senior NBA insider, Shams Charania, here for more on this. We know, right, that he is in, Shams, the NBA's concussion protocol, but what does that mean for him moving forward here?
Malika, I'm told Victor Wembanyama did report to the Spurs facility this morning, and his status is uncertain for Game 3. I am told that Victor Wembanyama is hopeful to travel with the team on Thursday to Portland, but he and the team won't know for sure until then. Right now, he's in the concussion protocol, and that means he cannot participate in unrestricted activities for at least 48 hours. So that would be Thursday night. But he could do some gradual light work starting tonight if his symptoms don't worsen. And last night, when Victor Wembanyama was evaluated, he was diagnosed with a concussion. So that timeline for that protocol started last night. He then ended up going home right after the diagnosis to then rest and recover. So the Spurs are taking this very much day by day with Wemby.
Okay, so 48 hours from the time he is placed in concussion protocols. At least one thing, though, Shams, that Mitch Johnson did say that I think is important is that he's not being evaluated for anything else other than a concussion. So when he hit the ground really hard, people were wondering about his jaw, maybe his head. Right now, it's the concussion that they are looking at. Shams, thank you very much for that insight. So keeping in mind that 48 hours, let's just take a look at the remaining schedule of the series here between the Blazers and the Spurs. Game 3, Game 4. They will be in Portland Friday and Sunday. You can catch Sunday's game 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. I do think it is worth noting it's a 10:30 p.m. Eastern tip-off on Friday and then an early tip-off on Sunday. And then if necessary, you see Game 6, Game 7. They will be Thursday, April 30th, Sunday, May the 2nd. As we welcome you inside our Los Angeles studio, Brian, I turn to you here first. When you saw Victor go down like that and knowing how long, I mean, 48 hours is one thing, but typically this can be 5 or even a week before we could see him back.
Right. So first off, we have to acknowledge that concussion symptoms are unpredictable. That's why they have a protocol, because sometimes they show up later. So that is the upsetting news. The thing that you mentioned about him not potentially having any other injuries is really, really relieving, because, you know, even a dental injury you could have seen from that height. The second thing that I think is important is in the playoffs, in the first round, you always get one spot where you get 2 days off between. Sometimes you have two days off, but you always have at least 1 2-day gap. It just so happens that the 2-day gap is between 2 and 3. So at least the Spurs have this to go on. And while I know that this is a huge shock to the Spurs system, the fact that they do get two days will also help the team prepare for the game on Friday, whether he can play or not.
I think that's the biggest point, is that you get 72 hours to prepare for Friday night. And certainly that lineup that they had out at the end of the game, that kind of that small ball lineup, and they had Luke Cornett out there with all the guards out there. I think that's probably, if Victor doesn't play, that's probably what we're going to more see. But time will tell as far as if we're going to see him on the court.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, we're glad that it's certainly nothing more than a concussion, but this can be incredibly serious, so we're just hoping for the best here for Victor Wembanyama. But there was still a game, Chene, to be played, so let's take you out to San Antonio to see how this one went down. We're going to pick this one up with under 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter here. Devin Vassell shoots, knocks down the jumper, Chene.
You're going to need more of that without Victor Wembanyama. The Spurs backcourt has to step up, and you need to see more plays like this from D. Fox as a facilitator.
Luke Cornett has been absolutely incredible. I did not know he had that in his arsenal. Scoot Henderson, though, speaking of incredible, Euro steps his way inside, possibly his best stretch here as a Blazer.
Without question, considering he missed 50 games this year with a hamstring injury, just amazing to get this in this time in the season.
Henderson knocks down the 3 there. Next Portland possession here. Henderson kicks it out to Robert Williams III. Okay, get you a big man who can do an assist.
You don't have that on the bingo
there
card.
To clean it out.
Have your teammates back.
17 seconds left in the fourth. Denny Avdia drives to the
the
paint.
D-cell there on the pass.
Gives it to the Time Lord. It is worth noting that they went closed with the Time Lord over Klingon there, who you can see is hyped for his teammate there on the bench. 5.2 seconds left. The Spurs trail by 1. Vassell gets the inbound pass. He's been knocking those shots down. Good look. Just couldn't quite get it to fall. still can't believe that one didn't go down. So the Trailblazers, they steal game 2, and they even up this series as they get the 106-103 win here. So San Antonio, remember, they were up by 14 points entering the final 8 minutes and 30 seconds of the fourth quarter. But the Blazers, they went on to close the game shooting 10 for 15. They outscored the Spurs 12-0 in the paint, and San Antonio's backcourt, they didn't make a shot over that stretch. They were 0 for 7. So we don't know, of course, how long Wemby is going to be out for here, as Kendrick Perkins joins us for this conversation as well. Chanae, you mentioned De'Aaron Fox, him needing to step up. Perk, who do you think needs to step up here?
Oh, it's De'Aaron Fox for sure. I mean, when you talk about going on the road, the one knock against the San Antonio Spurs, while a lot of people didn't pick them to win it all, is their lack of experience, right? And so you're going on the road possibly without your generational talent. You need a veteran like De'Aaron Fox, a guy that has been in this moment, to rise to the occasion and level up. They don't need him to be popular. They need him to be powerful. One of those performances that we saw when he went toe-to-toe with Steph Curry a few years ago when he was in Sacramento. That's the type of impact he has to have, especially if they don't have Wemby and going on, because Portland is an underrated city when it comes to their fan base. It get rowdy in that arena.
Oh, interesting, Perk. I was listening to you yesterday, and you were talking about the Knicks and the Hawks, and you said, oh, when you're in Atlanta in the playoffs, it's like the club. So there are a lot of underrated cities in your eyes, but I feel like it's more than just, De'Aaron Fox. It's the entire backcourt. Because right now they're getting big performances, not just the play-in, but also the playoffs from Denny Avdia. And then you have, obviously, Scoot Henderson showing up and having those out-of-the-character and times 30-plus points. It's going to be Stephon Castle. It's going to be Devin Vassell. The whole backcourt for the Spurs have to step up. But most importantly, I really felt like they were going to eke this out. And that's why I really think that the Trailblazers stole one. Because your star player goes down. You're at home. You have one of the best fan bases excited for this moment in the playoffs. And then you just didn't have that momentum down the stretch. And you made an important stat about how they shot so well in the paint because there was no helicopter there as well. And so they have to, now, I guess sometimes when you know someone's not there, you can scheme and prepare more accordingly. But I even thought that given the circumstances that they would pull this one out, they have to understand that they lost one.
One thing that did happen was that Toumani Camara, who's an all-defensive player, he typically would have guarded Wembanyama down the stretch, and because he didn't have that assignment,
everything adjusts.
He went out to De'Aaron Fox.
Sure.
He didn't make the highlight, but he had 8 points in the fourth quarter. He actually had one of the most impactful games he's ever had. But freeing up Kamara from having to defend the interior to the perimeter is a significant difference that changes things in this series.
And we're talking about the backcourt, which is absolutely important when you're talking about a clutch player of the year needing to be able to carry the offensive load here. But there were stretches. We talked about how good Luke Cornett has been, Bobby. There were stretches down in that game where the Spurs, they decided to go with no center out there. And they were outscored by 7 in those minutes. So when Luke Cornett's not on the floor and Victor's not on the floor, where do you think San Antonio needs to adjust?
Well, it turns into a jump shooting team. There's no points in the paint. And what you saw with Portland was they went to a more athletic center in Robert Williams, and they took Donovan Clingan out the game, and that really kind of changed the dynamics there. So I think, how do you combat that if you're the Spurs there? It's similar to what we saw with the Denver series. You get tired legs, you start to be a jump shooting team here, and that's something that happened. I'll say this. For Portland, I'm going to throw a number out, number 40. 40 is the number of possessions that closing unit played all season long here.
Wow.
And if we're going to give flowers out, I'm giving it to Tiago Splitter, their coach, who has really pushed all the right buttons, not just during the regular season, but certainly in the play-in and also in Game 2.
And coaching through sort of a strange situation right now as well. Before we move on elsewhere in the Western Conference, Scoot has been the MVP of this series for the Blazers.
Well, Denny Avdia had an awesome Game 1, but yesterday Denny he had no points in the fourth quarter. Scoot Henderson was a difference-making player yesterday, no doubt.
Absolutely, and this has been a long time coming for Scoot, who's dealt with a lot of injuries in his career. All right, let's go to what was maybe the shocker of the night in Los Angeles. Kevin Durant, he was back. He returned for Houston, but Chanae, they still had a problem.
Major.
It was good, though, to see LeBron and KD going head-to-head.